In this video, I'll be going through the basics of how to read and write function notation. This is something quite important to understand in methods, as both in Year 11 and 12 you'll be dealing a lot with functions and graphs, and there's no doubt that you'll be tested on your understanding of being able to read, write and interpret function notations in your exams. Generally, functions are written in the following format. The first letter is the name of the function. This could be F, G, or H, which are all commonly used in methods, but it can be any letter like A, B, or C. Then we write the domain of the function. In this example, it's written as R, meaning the domain can be any real number for this function. But if the domain was restricted, then it would be written here in interval notation. Then we have an arrow and then the letter R. This is called the codomain. It's basically the set of all possible values the function outputs, meaning for this function, the output values are going to be all real numbers. And for maths methods, this will always be R. You just have to be careful as this is not the range of the function. Then we have the rule or the equation of the function f. And this function has the rule x squared. So if we work on an example, the function f has a domain from 0 to infinity, and it outputs a real number, and it has a rule of the square root of x plus 1. If you were asked to sketch this graph, we know that this is a square root function, translated 1 unit to the left. If you sketch this graph, or the full graph, then you would lose marks, or you would be marked wrong. And the reason for that is that this function is only defined from 0 to infinity. So it would only be this part of the graph. And 0 is inclusive, so you'd put a filled in dot there. If you sketch the full graph, then you would be wrong, because this area or part of the graph is not actually part of the domain. So what you need to do is always check the domain that you've been given. Another example is if you're given a graph, and let's say this is the function y equals x squared, and this is 2 and this is minus 4. If you were asked to write this in function notation, then the way you would write it is you'd say f or g or h, doesn't matter. So the function f is defined in the domain from minus 4 to 2. Minus 4 has a square bracket because it's inclusive, up to 2 because it's not inclusive, and you've got the round bracket, arrow and then r, which means it's the function outputs a real number, and it has a rule of x squared. So that's it for this video. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, just write it on the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, best of luck, and I'll see you in the next video.